Universal access, serving library patrons with print disabilities. Although universal access to information without discrimination is an ideal for most librarians, services to Americans with print disabilities fall short of that ideal. Who has print disabilities? In the United States, the majority of people with print disabilities are seniors. Print disabilities include low vision and no vision, and physical disabilities that make holding or reading a book difficult. People with print disabilities are widely distributed geographically, and many of them have impaired mobility. A prime challenge for libraries for the print disabled is how to serve a population that is spread out and may have difficulty visiting a library in person. The need for services to the print disabled is likely to increase in the coming decades. A 2009 survey of the NLS found that 2/3 of specialist librarians for the print disabled intended to retire in the next 10 years. At the same time, the baby boomer generation is aging, which is likely to cause a surge in demand for services. There is a 95% gap in materials available for the print disabled, and it shows no sign of going away. It is estimated that only about 5% of all published materials are produced in formats that are accessible to those with print disabilities. These materials are not produced commercially, but by the libraries and agencies that serve this patron group. This process is expensive and time-consuming, straining resources and creating greater delays in getting new materials than other library patrons experience. In the U.S., most library service to people with print disabilities is provided by the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped, NLS. The NLS consists of a national network of libraries. Anyone with a visual disability or a physical disability that interferes with print reading is eligible. The NLS conducts most of its circulation by mail. Patrons submit requests by phone or internet, and materials are mailed. A small but growing number of resources are available for download to a home computer with a screen reader or a refreshable braille display. The advantages of this system are that it brings library resources directly to a distributed population and that it shares resources through a national network. The disadvantages are that patrons are isolated from their community libraries and collections are not easy to browse. In the digital age, technology has the potential to better serve patrons with print disabilities. However, technology also can isolate these patrons further, as web design becomes increasingly visual and digital technology is expensive and inaccessible to some patrons. Most advocates agree that the gap in service cannot be addressed by individual libraries acting alone. Cooperative effort is needed. Specifically, libraries need to network and share resources, practice accessible web design, and advocate both for the use of a standard, portable format and for copyright reform at the international level. When library items are duplicated unnecessarily, precious resources are wasted. Because the print-disabled population is spread out, it is critical for libraries to network and share resources. The NLS already has a national network in place that shares resources, but awareness of this system is low. In the digital age, public libraries can be connected to NLS resources so that patrons can be served in their community public libraries. Although some technology for the print-disabled is prohibitively expensive for a public library, other technologies, such as screen reading software, is less expensive and is feasible for a public library. Screen readers allow patrons with print disabilities to access information through their computers. However, screen readers have difficulty with web pages that do not use accessible design. If web pages are organized only by visual means, patrons using screen readers cannot navigate as effectively as sighted patrons. Use of structural HTML tags provides a text-based organizational structure that helps patrons with screen readers to navigate a page and find relevant content more quickly. Accessible web design needs to include metadata tags that identify the structure of a document, meaningful alt text that provides an adequate verbal description of images, skip navigation links that allow screen reader users to go directly to the main body of a document, and text-based alternatives to images that serve as links. Historically, Braille and talking books for the print disabled were produced in proprietary formats. Talking books produced under copyright exemptions were playable only on specialized equipment. This required patrons to purchase special equipment or for libraries and agencies to provide it for them. Sharing resources required the mailing of a physical item. The Digital Accessible Information System, DAISY standard, is an attempt to make a more portable, shareable format, a digital file that can be easily shared and accessed in a variety of ways. DAISY is an open international standard. DAISY uses XML to allow hierarchical navigation of Braille and talking books. DAISY talking books are playable on a variety of devices, including mobile phones. DAISY digital texts can be read on a refreshable Braille display, on a computer with a screen reader, or printed in Braille or large print format. Conforming to the DAISY standard allows libraries and other agencies to share resources that formerly would be duplicated unnecessarily. Copyright law is a critical issue for libraries serving people with print disabilities. In the U.S., the Chaffee Amendment to Copyright Law allows libraries for the print disabled to make accessible copies of published material without violating copyright. However, there are flaws in this system. The copyright exceptions are format-specific and have not kept pace with digital technology. Publishers have been resistant to allowing the distribution of digital files that can be read on demand with a screen reader or a refreshable Braille display. Copyright reform could allow librarians for the print disabled to meet patron needs at lower expense and with quicker response times. In addition, copyright exemptions only apply to items copyrighted under U.S. law, so serving patrons who speak other languages is a challenge. Most materials in other languages are produced in other countries and covered by non-U.S. copyright law. In order to provide materials in other languages, libraries need to advocate for international copyright agreements. In the future, there are likely to be a decreasing number of specialist librarians serving the print disabled, but an increasing demand for service. Librarians need to act cooperatively to address this need. Library networking, resource sharing, the use of accessible design, and advocacy for the DAISY format and copyright reform are the most critical components of coming closer to the ideal of universal access to information.